Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer hints, education, and resources to in-home caregivers and those affected in their world. These are the children, the parents, the extended family, and everyone who loves them. And our goal is to offer real life topics and learning through discussing real issues and offering real solutions. And tonight I'm very excited to welcome back a guest that we've had before who is getting a really good response from our audience. And that is serial entrepreneur, Dr. Brandie Keates. So welcome, Dr. Brandie. It's great to have you.
Nice to see you again. It's always a pleasure.
Fantastic. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dr. Brandie, and then we're going to dig into our topic for tonight, which is kind of a continuation of some of the talks that we've been having because they're all that's yeah. They're all about the body. They're all about pregnancy, and they're all about feeling better instead of feeling bad, which is what we're often told we need to do. So Dr. Brandie has been saving women from painful experiences in pregnancy since 2003 as the founder and CEO of Experience Chiropractic in Southeast Pennsylvania. Based on her own troubled pregnancy, experience as a trauma paramedic, and her knowledge of sports medicine, she has set out to educate and empower pregnant women and their providers through the Bloom philosophy. This evidence based philosophy tackles the common misconceptions that pain during pregnancy is normal and offers avenues to alleviate the common but not normal villains of pregnancy. And that's kind of a catchphrase that Dr. Brandie has created, which really helps us understand this stuff better. And I love kind of how simple and direct it makes it. With a knack for storytelling, a flair for detail, and a hint of humor, Dr. Brandie Keates published her first book, What You Don't Expect When You're Expecting, in 2018, and released the second edition in 2021. Dr. Brandie Keates is also renowned for her podcast appearances and for ample lectures and webinars, all the while kicking butt, running her own business, and expanding her personal brand. Her passion to bring awareness and help those who care for pregnant women to be aware of all the myriad of ways to help them is phenomenal. So tonight, I'm really excited to have you come back and have us talk about the villains of pregnancy, but we're going to focus again. So before we focus kind of on the lower body, and this time we're going to talk about the upper body. And when I saw some of these, I was kind of excited because, man, even all these years later, these
Still
were my
feeling it.
experiences, right?
Yeah.
So first, can you give us just a brief overview of this concept of pain is not normal, but it is common, and sometimes we confuse those two.
Yeah. As I said on the last podcast, which was so much fun, it's semantics, but language is so critically important. I believe I love writing. I love words. I think words can transmit so much. And as providers, it's important for us to transmit hope when we can. What I find is before COVID, I would just be horrified to hear the stories from my patients where they're told to just suck it up. And I think the last podcast we did aired the night of the Super Bowl. And I said, what providers tell pregnant women where you're just like, what do you expect? You're pregnant. Like all the pain will go over when you're done, which could be 4 to 5 months, is just like I'm in Philadelphia with the Eagles telling one of them, like, hey, when your season's over, like, what do you expect? You play pro sports, what do you expect? You just got tackled. It's ridiculous. And it makes my blood boil. I say it just makes me so furious because just because you don't know something exists, because you don't stay up on the current trends, unfortunately, what I do doesn't exist. And I'm not just being cocky about there's other entities that do incorporate it, but not in a packaged way of this is what you can do to help. This is what's making it bad. And I think what we're talking about today, especially, are the ones that you really don't expect. Everybody expects some low back pain. People don't talk about pubic pain, which is funny. From doing your podcast, I got tapped to be on a medical panel, and we were talking about how this can impact your ability to deliver. Because if you give bad advice and you tell a woman this is just normal, and you don't give her advice, like when I was pregnant with my second baby, I told her like, hey, I was sick every day, but I gained 80 pounds. And she's like, well, you can't gain any weight this time. And I'm like, well, what diet should I follow? She's like, oh, no, you can't go on a diet. It's sort of the same thought of like, there's nothing you can do, but you're not supposed to, you're supposed to suck it up. So I think it's important to give women hope, and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing these things. But the things we're talking about today, originally were born, no pun intended, out of one of the local OB practices around here is like, can you please make some material to incorporate what women experience in the I call it the fourth trimester after they have the baby. These things show up, but these things also show up during pregnancy for very defined reasons. And when women understand why those reasons occurred, we as providers understand that this is not just like hoodoo that just shows up. There's reasons mechanically why these things happen. It's important to mitigate those risks and help women to fight them because they can be excruciating. So today we're talking about Helen headache. They're all named after family members again. That was my aunt. And then Rebecca is my sister-in-law. She's the Regina George of back pain because it's insidious and scary. We'll talk about that. And then Wendy, wrist pain is sort of the boring one that you expect after you have a baby. But today we're going to talk about how they occur and how to spot them. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, I am too. And I loved your analogy when we talked. And then when I watched the Super Bowl and I saw that guy get hurt, and then there he's you can see the pain.
Mhm.
And then he's back on the field 10 minutes
Yeah.
later. It's like, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah. Why can't we do that for women? Can you imagine if you went back and it's like, okay, better like next season or like wait till you're done and just suck it up. What do you expect? We don't
Right?
do that to guys.
Right? Exactly.
It's
And
stupid.
because he got good care quick,
Yes.
barreling his career.
Yes. The sports medicine of pregnancy is what I do and what I teach. So
Right.
yes.
So let's talk about Helen headache. And I can relate.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. My first pregnancy, 6 months of daily headaches.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
was have some caffeine, have some protein, have some fat, and take a Tylenol. So I was drinking Coke with a peanut butter sandwich, right? Get my protein, get my fat, get my caffeine, and taking Tylenol. Nobody wants to be doing that for one. And two, it's not healthy to be doing that
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
So let's talk about headaches.
Yeah, so headaches, all of these sort of are part and parcel and they're together because what happens, like there's things that happen that people don't associate, right? So what was your first symptom when you got pregnant? Like when you found out you were pregnant, what was your first symptom, Tonya?
I was almost not, other than the headaches,
Yeah.
my first pregnancy was like the ideal pregnancy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Mine was my chest. Like your chest, a lot of women report that their chest feels funny. Like it gets prickly, it gets heavier. They notice their breasts change. So what happens with the hormones is that they get heavier. They start filling with fluid. So that added weight. Sometimes I've had patients go from a C to like a double F because of the hormonal fluxes. So when you add that in a short period of time, if you think we're muscles, we're a meat suit, Lady Gaga wore a nice meat suit, but we're all a meat suit, right? So
Right.
if you hang something off the front of your chest that your neck is not used to, it's going to cause a lot of tension and stress in the upper back and neck, right? These muscles, if they clamp down, pinch nerves. They will make muscles tight. They'll pinch nerves in your neck. The biggest one that I see that's sort of a bridge between Rebecca and Helen is the first rib. We were taught that in one day in chiropractic school is probably the number one thing that I do. So your first thoracic is the pointiest bone on the back. It actually has a rib that comes around here and goes under your clavicle. So a lot of people will report they have horrible pain. Do you ever see those fibromyalgia commercials where they're holding here? It's because your chest gets heavier. It puts added stress and strain on this area. Usually you're wearing the same bra because you don't want to buy a new bra. But that particular nerve will send pain up over your head and you'll get a spiked headache right here in your eyebrow. It's excruciating. If it gets bad, it'll go into these two fingers because that's the dermatome or the zip code for that bone and nerve. So the headaches can be debilitating. Also, fluid changes. Also, you can be puking every day. There's a lot of reasons. The caveat with Helen headache is there's a lot of emergency. Being a paramedic, I was a paramedic for 26 years. There's a lot of emergencies that you need to be careful of. So it's sort of a scary time that if the headaches are not your thing, that if you have the worst headache of your life, you call your doctor because that phrase as a paramedic gives me like the willies. So you always want to call your provider because that's what they're there for. You're not bothering them. You're not a pain in the butt. But this is the mechanical reason why. It's just added stress and strain in the area and it gets overloaded and that puts pressure on nerves, which cause headache. So that's Helen's thing. Usually they're a pressure type headache, as I said, but typically you'll get that spike headache in your eyebrow. That's your suboccipital nerve. So how do we fix that?
Right.
How we fix that is if you don't have a lot of money, which I didn't when I was pregnant, you in my book, there's a lot of information about massaging this area, massaging the neck area, massaging the front of your chest. Sometimes that'll get tight. There's stretches that you can do to open things up because a lot of people are doing this. Plus, your chest is heavier. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with stretching and massage. That lends itself into Rebecca rib pain, which again, your spine is right down the back. The ribs come off. They meet on your spine like a sandwich. Sometimes that pain, as I call her, the Regina George, that could be the spike. Like it feels like you're being stabbed in the neck. You heard that turn you where it like feels like you're being stabbed in the neck and you can't turn your head. That's usually a first rib or upper rib area. The one that I see that's sort of scary that I think providers, MDs don't understand, and this is the one where they'll tell them like, just suck it up. There's nothing you can do is if you think about physics, all of us don't like physics. I loved physics. I'm sort of a nerd. If you hang weight from the front of your body, you can think about your thoracic spine. You can get a pinch lower, which is called intercostal neuritis, or basically if you eat ribs, the line that's around the bottom of the rib, which is disgusting, it'll shoot pain around the bottom of your rib. And a lot of women will have pain in the front of their abdomen and their upper abs because that's the nerve that is there. Again, massage is great. Stretching is great. If that doesn't cut it, chiropractic or osteopaths are also wonderful for ribs. They adjust patients as well. I know chiropractors don't like to hear that, but they manipulate just like we do. So if you're not comfortable with a chiropractor, try a DO. So that's another option that people can try.
Yeah. My girlfriend actually had that rib pain.
Oh, it's
Uh,
awful.
And yeah, she was in a lot of
Like a
pain.
spike, and it's
Uh-huh.
scary. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing in practice are people like, "Oh my god, I feel like I'm dying." They'll go to the ER,
Right.
and they think they're being stabbed, and, typically, I find this I don't know, do you follow Louise Hay? I'm not really hokey, but I love Louise Hay, and, in her book, she talks about, you get people get fever blisters, like, when you're stressed out? They say that this area is like when you're carrying the weight of the world. So
Mhm.
it's like when you're overloaded, I believe, and this sounds a little hokey, your back is an electrical panel. So when it overloads, it blows. So your back will actually blow. Does that make sense? Where it overloads, where you
Yeah.
have your chest is heavier, you're stressed out, and it's the worst thing that could happen because now you feel like you're being stabbed, but it makes you slow down. But that is Rebecca rib pain. So it can be lower, as I said, it goes all the way down and it can go into the front. A lot of women get like that upper ab pain. Again, that could be from their baby expanding. A lot of patients that have six-pack abs. I never did. I always had a cake. But six-pack abs, yeah, it can expand and your muscles like, what the hell? Like you're like they were tight and now like things are expanding. So it's not saying you shouldn't work out, but a lot of these women, I had a whole yoga class of six-pack ab women. And in my book, you can see there's a woman that like literally almost has six-pack. As much as you can have six-pack abs when you're pregnant, she looks fabulous. Her kid's like 6 now, but anytime you expand in this area, it's muscles overloading. So that's that one.
Yeah. And then Wendy wrist pain. We
Wendy wrist
hear about wrist issues with pregnancy. We hear a lot about carpal tunnel and numbness. So help us understand this.
Yeah, so anytime you have increased fluid and things aren't moving, and that was my premise when I spoke at this panel in Niagara Falls last week. It was awesome. I was the only chiropractor there, but I was talking about how if we don't give good advice, then women don't move. And we both know that the birth statistics in this country are not great for some reason. And my premise is part of it, not the whole entire thing, but if you don't move during pregnancy, like if you don't know what to do and you just go home and do nothing because no one gives you sound advice, that's not good for your body. Your body is designed to move. So if you have increased fluid and you're not moving, you're sitting at a desk for 8 hours, weight dependent, your wrists are going to swell, right? And it's a small, tiny little compartment. And there's no place for everything to go. So that puts pressure in the different compartments in your wrist. So a lot of women will wake up and they have to shake their hands out. Their hands are completely numb. Again, your chest is bigger. this is tighter. So it's a whole perfect storm for your wrist. A lot of times people call that baby wrist or uh, decurvains is the fancy term. That's pain in the snuff box, which they call it a snuff box because you can actually make like a little thing. I guess I don't know if people put tobacco in there, but that's what they call the anatomical snuff box. But that's decurvains where there's a swelling in the sheath of the tendons. But what's scary about that is that women can actually start dropping things. They can drop coffee cups. They can drop their kids, their 18-month-old kids, that they're because they're pregnant and then on top of it, they're carrying. And again, it's the motion. Like if you think about this motion that aggravates the neck, it aggravates the upper back at the worst time of your life to be able to deal. So typically what my book is about the second pregnancy because you weren't carrying an 18-month-old the first time you were expecting. And there's stuff that we're just very hard on our bodies. I was just talking to some patients today, and I just think there's no breath for women to enjoy it. Like you have your normal life. Other countries do a better job, I think, of giving women the time to do the things that they need to do to move, to take care of themselves. We're just supposed to go, go, go. And dads, and other moms. So this stuff is the stuff that shows up after pregnancy, and that's why the OB practice around here, the major, it's like 16 offices. They said, "Can you please make stuff because people don't understand? I had low back pain, fix that when I had the baby, but now I have this stuff. Like, what is this about? And they don't want to go through another treatment plan with something new, but you have a new stress on you. Like you're carrying those carriers, you're putting the baby into a car in an awkward position, you're nursing, your chest gets bigger. It's like, again, it's all about stress. So the best thing that I can advise is to be active, even if even if it hurts. It shouldn't hurt severely, but if you don't do anything, you're going to get hurt because you're going to be deconditioned. So you might as well do something if that makes any sense. So get some sound advice, get some basic routines that you can habit stack into your routine. It's really, really important. If I say anything on this podcast is doing motion with your body, keep your body moving. I think as a society, we don't move. And that's why women have the problems that they have, unfortunately.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, this isn't some big complicated regimen. This is just get up and move a little more, be a little more mindful, be a little more intentional, and move your body so that when we're going through the process of birth and postpartum recovery, we're not so deconditioned that we don't have anything work. Am I
Yeah, birth is an athletic event. Like, and that's again was my premise about sports. Everyone told me before, sports and pregnancy don't go together. I think it's one of the most athletic events you can go through. You need to be physically fit for it. And I really credit the doctor that I work with, Dr. Eric. He has he's an athletic trainer and a chiropractor. So when he joined the practice, I would lose the patient when they had the baby. And he's like, wait, they had to carry all this stuff. We had to get them ready for that. So we developed a program called Strong Mama U, where we started doing those things safely before you have the baby because you know what's coming. Do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, it makes you feel better. I think you feel better when I used to work out to lose weight. I don't work out to lose weight anymore. My goal, I'm going to be 50 in 8 weeks. And it's just to stay moving. And I feel like your blood moves better. Everything just moves better. So it behooves you if you're thinking about getting pregnant, start a walking routine. It doesn't have to cost. You don't have to join a gym. Just do things to counterbalance. In my practice, I talk about turning up the good and turning down the bad. I hate extremes. I hate like where somebody's like, revolutionize your life. Let's look at little things that you can do. Because if everything that you're doing, if you're working at a desk for 8 hours and you're carrying your kid, let's look at ways that you could take off some of the stress. They talk about women are a lot like trash compactors. I think everybody's like trash compactors. And if you build up, it just explodes. So anything you can do to sort of take a chip away at what you're doing. If you're like this, do the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Incorporate some stretches to move at your desk. It's unnatural for people to sit so long. So I just think there's so much stuff for free. The internet is a huge place, but again, it's about sound advice. Like you offer very sound advice. Um, Ask your providers, ask your friends for trusted resources. So that's what I'm developing to help women so they can help themselves.
Fantastic. I love that. I talked to somebody recently who said, even if all you do is set a timer And every 30 minutes, get up and walk around your chair 10 times.
Yeah.
It's still better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
And because she said, people were telling her, oh, well, I don't want to work up a sweat in the middle of the workday.
Mhm.
This whole workout during your lunch hour. Well, then I got to shower and redo my hair and my makeup. She's like, it doesn't have to be that hard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Simple stuff. And again, it's, I think people discount if you don't move your mental health. Like it's unnatural for us to sit. Motion is life. It's just important to be active. You want to be active to play with your kids. Start now, and you can start from nothing. There's Couch to 5K is a great program. Walking is free. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to hurt yourself. It's easy stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. As always, there's such valuable takeaways. We're almost out of time already. It never feels like there's enough. Is there anything final that you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, just what I said. Just as I said, if everybody would understand how important it is to incorporate exercise, exercise does not have to be what you think it is. It can just be just move. Get your kids involved, and you can make it a family event. Do it as partners. Just it's about to be spring, and it's time to get out and move. So stretch, move, walk, and just get healthy. That's all I have to say. So it's cheesy, but it's true. Yeah.
Sometimes the simplest answers are the
Yeah,
best.
it's not that hard.
Right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing with us tonight, Dr. Brandie. It's been an honor to have you
Just have
again.
me back.
Work with you as always. Um, so we really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you to our audience. If you have any questions about this topic or anything related to the upper body baddies, or frankly, anything else around your body and pregnancy and moving and feeling better, please put them in the feed and tag Dr. Brandie or tag Newborn Care Solutions. We'll make sure that you get answers. And of course, you can catch this segment as well as all of our past Field Talk episodes and access our educational content at newborncaresolutions.com. Click on the education tab. And of course, also YouTube and all the podcast channels. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thanks.